You wake up one morning and notice a small change. You forget a name, a word, or where you put your keys. It feels harmless at first, but then the moments pile up, and you begin to wonder. Is this normal aging, or the start of something darker? If you care for an older parent, partner, or yourself, that worry can feel heavy and personal. You deserve clarity, not more fear. I am Dr. Linda Rose, and I want to speak to you gently and plainly about one everyday habit that quietly raises the risk of dementia in older adults, and what you can do about it right now. You may have been told that small forgetful moments are just part of getting older, but some habits accelerate decline more than we realize. I see this in my clinic. Otherwise sharp, vibrant people who slowly lose memory and independence because of something they do every day without thinking. You are not to blame, and you are not helpless. Knowledge is the first step toward protecting your mind and keeping your life full of meaning, connection, and joy. In this video, I will explain the habit that worries me most, why it damages brain health, who is most at risk, and, most importantly, practical science-backed steps you can take to stop it and reverse harm where possible. I will guide you with clear actions, rooted in years of experience caring for older adults. This is about preserving your memories, your dignity, and the small daily pleasures that make life worth living. Before we get started, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell, so you never miss a simple, science-backed health tip, designed especially for older adults like you. If you find this video helpful, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0. Your feedback is invaluable and helps me improve these videos for your benefit. Now, let's begin. Part 1. The hidden habit that silently damages your brain. Let me begin with something I see far too often in my clinic. Older adults come in worried about memory loss, confusion, or mood swings, and when I ask about their daily routine, one pattern keeps appearing again and again. It's not a disease. It's not genetics. It's a simple modern habit that quietly strangles brain health over the years. A sedentary, sitting-centered lifestyle. Yes, the habit that causes dementia in so many older adults is sitting too much and moving too little. Now, I know that may sound harmless. After all, you've worked hard all your life. You deserve rest. But here's what most people don't realize. The human brain was never designed for stillness. Every time you sit for hours, watching TV, scrolling on your phone, reading without breaks, blood flow to your brain slows down. Your neurons, which depend on oxygen and nutrients, start running on low supply. Imagine watering a garden only once a week instead of daily. The plants would survive for a while, but slowly, they'd wilt. That's exactly what happens inside your head when your body stops moving. When movement decreases, your brain becomes starved of oxygen, your heart pumps less efficiently, and toxins build up in the bloodstream. Studies show that people who sit for more than 8 hours a day have a sharply higher risk of memory decline and dementia, even if they exercise later. That's because long periods of inactivity cause real structural changes. They shrink the hippocampus, the part of your brain responsible for learning and memory. And worse, the brain's waste removal system, called the glymphatic system, slows down too. So, the very proteins linked with Alzheimer's disease begin to accumulate. Let me explain this in simple words. Every time you walk, stretch, or even stand up, you're sending a signal to your brain that life is still moving, that your body is active, and that your mind must stay alert. Movement increases circulation, triggers growth factors that repair brain tissue, and strengthens the neural connections that keep your mind sharp. Sitting too long does the opposite. It lulls your brain into a slow, energy-deprived state. You might notice fogginess, poor concentration, or the feeling that words are on the tip of your tongue, but won't come out. I remember one of my patients, a retired teacher in her 70s, who loved crossword puzzles but hated walking. She believed mental exercise alone was enough to protect her brain. When she came to see me, she was struggling with short-term memory lapses. I gently encouraged her to add just 10 minutes of walking after breakfast and dinner. 3 months later, she told me she felt awake again. Her words came faster, her thoughts felt lighter, and her energy returned. That's the power of blood flow to the brain, a simple, natural medicine we all carry within us. But the danger is that this habit creeps in silently. It doesn't announce itself with pain or warning. One day you skip your morning walk. Then you start watching more TV or sitting with your phone a little longer. Weeks pass, and suddenly your muscles weaken, your balance falters, and your mind feels heavy. This cycle is slow but devastating. I often tell my patients, the brain doesn't grow old, it becomes underused. When we stop moving, we stop sending the stimulation that keeps the brain alive. There's also a hidden emotional side. Sitting too long often comes with isolation. You talk less, see fewer people, and lose the small daily interactions that keep the mind socially active. Loneliness and inactivity together form a dangerous pair, silently chipping away at mental sharpness and emotional well-being. In fact, research has found that social and physical inactivity combined increase dementia risk more than smoking or high blood pressure. Now, I want you to pause and think about your own day. How many hours do you spend sitting, watching TV, eating meals, reading, or browsing the internet? Even if you're active for part of the day, prolonged sitting can still undo much of that benefit. The brain thrives on movement, not intense workouts, but gentle, consistent activity throughout the day. Even standing up every 30 minutes to stretch or walk a few steps can make a difference. This is why I call sitting this silent thief of brain health. It steals clarity, focus, and vitality one quiet moment at a time. You may not feel it today, but over months and years, the damage adds up. The good news is that it's never too late to break this habit. The brain is remarkably resilient. Even after years of inactivity, when you start moving again, new neural connections form. Blood flow improves. Memory strengthens. In the next section, I'll show you exactly how this habit starves your brain, not just metaphorically, but biologically. You'll learn what happens to your oxygen levels, energy pathways, and brain chemistry when you sit too long, and how a few simple changes can bring your mind back to life. Part 2. How this habit starves your brain of oxygen and energy. Let's look deeper at what really happens inside your body when you spend hours sitting still. Many people think that being inactive only affects their muscles or waistline, but the truth is far more serious. When you sit for long stretches, your entire circulation system slows down, and your brain, the hungriest organ in your body, begins to suffer almost immediately. Your brain uses about 20% of all the oxygen and blood your heart pumps. When movement stops, that supply weakens, like a flickering light in a house with poor wiring. Slowly, the brain's energy levels drop, and your neurons begin to work harder just to perform simple tasks. Now imagine your brain as a busy city. The blood vessels are the roads, oxygen and glucose are the fuel trucks, and your neurons are the workers keeping everything running. When you sit for hours, those roads clog with traffic, and the delivery trucks slow down. The city lights dim. Messages don't get delivered on time. This is what chronic sitting does to your brain. It blocks fuel delivery and starves your neurons of oxygen. Over time, this leads to mental fatigue, slower reaction times, and eventually the kind of cognitive decline linked to dementia. Another hidden process begins during long sitting periods: insulin resistance. Your muscles, when inactive, become less responsive to insulin, meaning sugar stays longer in your bloodstream. High blood sugar damages the tiny blood vessels that feed your brain. That's why researchers now call dementia type 3 diabetes. The less you move, the more your blood sugar spikes, and the more your brain cells become inflamed and starved of energy. It's like cutting off their electricity while flooding the city with toxic smoke. There's also the issue of oxygen delivery. When you sit in one position for too long, your lungs don't expand fully, and your breathing becomes shallow. This means less oxygen enters your blood, and even less reaches your brain. That's why after hours of sitting, you might feel foggy, tired, or even dizzy. It's not just fatigue, it's oxygen deprivation. Your neurons, which depend on constant oxygen flow, begin to fire less efficiently. That's when you start forgetting names, losing focus mid-sentence, or struggling to recall familiar words. In my years of practice, I've seen this over and over again. One of my patients, a 75-year-old man who loved watching cricket matches all afternoon, came to me worried about his forgetfulness. We did his scans, and his brain activity was significantly lower than expected for his age. But he had no major illness, just prolonged inactivity. I asked him to try a simple rule: every 30 minutes, stand up, stretch, or take a short walk. Within 2 months, his clarity improved, and he said something that stayed with me. "Doctor, it's like someone switched the lights back on in my head." Movement increases the brain's supply of a protein called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. I call it the brain's growth fertilizer. It helps repair damaged neurons and even encourages the formation of new ones. When you move, your heart pumps harder, blood flow increases, and BDNF rises. But when you sit for long hours, BDNF levels drop. That means fewer repairs, slower learning, and a gradual decline in memory performance. The longer this continues, the more your brain loses its flexibility, its ability to adapt and stay sharp with age. There's also a direct link between low circulation and the buildup of harmful plaques in the brain. These sticky proteins, known as beta amyloids, are one of the main culprits behind Alzheimer's disease. When your brain's cleansing system slows down due to inactivity, these plaques accumulate. Think of it like a house that hasn't been cleaned. Dust, clutter, and waste pile up. That's exactly what happens inside a stagnant brain. Regular movement acts like a cleaning crew, flushing out toxins and renewing the brain's internal environment. I know some of you might be thinking, but I'm too old to exercise like I used to. Here's the truth. You don't need to. Even light movements, like standing up, gentle stretches, or slow walking, are enough to restart oxygen flow and energy delivery. The goal isn't intensity. It's consistency. When you stand up and move, your heart pumps more efficiently, your lungs expand, and your brain drinks in that fresh oxygen like a sponge. Within minutes, your alertness rises and your mood brightens. That's your body thanking you. The scary part is that many older adults don't notice the damage until it's advanced. The brain compensates quietly for years, adjusting to low oxygen and weak circulation. Then suddenly, it hits a point where memory loss, confusion, and mental dullness appear quickly. But even then, recovery is possible. Once you reintroduce regular movement, your brain's circulation network begins to rebuild. The change is slow but steady, like spring returning after a long winter. So, this daily habit, too much sitting, doesn't just make you feel tired. It literally drains your brain's energy and oxygen, inch by inch. But now that you understand how it works, you can take action. Even a few steps every hour, breathing deeply while standing, or doing gentle arm stretches can awaken your brain again. In the next part, I'll reveal the everyday triggers that make this damaging habit even worse. Small, innocent routines that many older adults think are harmless, but that quietly accelerate memory loss. Once you recognize them, you'll be able to protect your mind with confidence and ease. Part 3. Everyday triggers that make the damage worse. Now that you know how sitting silently starves your brain of oxygen and energy, let's talk about something even more surprising. The everyday triggers that make this habit worse without you even realizing it. These are small routines that feel comforting, normal, or even productive, but in reality, they lock your brain in a low-energy state for hours. And for many older adults, these little choices add up to a dangerous pattern that fast-tracks memory loss and dementia risk. The first major trigger is screen time without movement breaks. Whether it's television, scrolling through your phone, or even reading on a tablet, screens pull you into stillness. You may think, "I'm relaxing," but your body and brain interpret it differently. Your posture stiffens, your neck bends forward, and your breathing becomes shallow. This posture compresses your chest, limiting oxygen flow. And since the brain thrives on oxygen, every minute in this position drains it of fuel. Studies show that after just 1 hour of sitting and staring at a screen, blood flow to the brain can drop by as much as 40%. That's a shocking number. And yet, it happens quietly while you watch your favorite show or check social media. Another hidden trigger is eating while sitting for long periods, especially after meals. Many older adults enjoy sitting at the table or on the sofa after lunch or dinner, perhaps reading or chatting, without realizing that digestion slows dramatically when you stay still. When your stomach is busy processing food, it draws a large portion of your blood supply to the digestive organs. If you continue to sit without movement, your brain temporarily receives less blood flow. That post-meal drowsiness you feel? It's not just food, it's a mild form of brain slowdown caused by reduced circulation. Over time, this routine, eat, sit, and stay seated, becomes one of the quietest ways your brain loses alertness and flexibility. The third trigger is long phone conversations or quiet sitting during boredom. Many people believe they're resting, but passive sitting, especially with no mental engagement, slows the entire nervous system. The brain, lacking stimulation, begins to drift into a dull rhythm. Imagine leaving your car engine idling for hours. It still runs, but it's wasting fuel, creating buildup, and not going anywhere. Your brain is the same. It needs brief bursts of stimulation to stay active, a few steps, a stretch, a change of environment. Without these cues, your mind begins to idle for too long, and the circuits that maintain memory and focus weaken over time. Another overlooked trigger is multitasking while sitting. You might think doing several small tasks while seated, paying bills, making calls, sorting documents, keeps your mind active. But in truth, it floods your brain with microstress. When you multitask, your brain releases cortisol, the stress hormone. High cortisol levels reduce blood flow to the prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for decision-making and memory. Combine that with lack of movement, and you have a perfect storm. Low oxygen, high stress, and poor focus. It's one of the reasons many older adults complain of mental fatigue by late afternoon, even when they haven't done anything physically demanding. There's also a subtle emotional trigger, loneliness and low motivation. When people feel isolated or disconnected, they tend to move less. This is especially true for seniors who live alone or have lost a partner. The days feel longer, motivation drops, and sitting becomes the default activity. But emotional stillness soon becomes physical stillness. The less you move, the less your brain releases dopamine and serotonin, the feel-good chemicals. This creates a loop where inactivity fuels low mood, and low mood fuels inactivity. It's a cycle I see often, and it's one of the most heartbreaking because it's invisible from the outside. Even your environment can be a trigger. A living room that's too comfortable, soft chairs, easy access to snacks, everything within arm's reach, can unknowingly trap you in sedentary behavior. I once advised a patient to move her television remote and reading glasses to the other side of the room. That simple change made her stand up at least 10 extra times a day. Those small interruptions may seem silly, but for your brain, they're powerful bursts of blood flow and oxygen renewal. And here's one more that might surprise you: over-reliance on mental activity without physical movement. Many older adults pride themselves on doing crossword puzzles, Sudoku, or reading newspapers daily. That's wonderful for your cognitive strength, but when it's done in stillness, the benefit is cut in half. The brain thrives when mental and physical activity happen together. Try doing your crossword while standing, walking in place, or stretching your arms between clues. You'll instantly boost oxygen to your brain, and the mental challenge will become more effective. So while sitting is the root problem, these daily triggers act like fertilizer for decline. They make the damage spread faster. They sneak into your life under the label of rest, routine, or comfort, when in truth, they are keeping your brain understimulated and undernourished. But remember, awareness is power. Once you see the pattern, you can start breaking it, one small change at a time. In the next part, I'll teach you how to recognize the early warning signs that your brain is already being affected by this habit. These signs often appear months or even years before serious memory loss begins, and catching them early can mean the difference between decline and recovery. Part 4. Early warning signs your brain is affected. Let's take a quiet, honest moment to reflect. The truth is, dementia doesn't appear suddenly. It creeps in softly, almost invisibly, through small daily signs that are easy to dismiss. Many of my patients once told me, "Doctor, I thought it was just old age." But when we looked closer, those subtle hints were the brain's early cries for help. Warnings that the mind was running low on oxygen, energy, and stimulation due to too much sitting and too little movement. Recognizing these early signs is your greatest opportunity to protect your brain and slow or even reverse the damage. The first and most common sign is mental fog. You know that feeling when your thoughts seem slow, your concentration slips, or you can't find the right word. It's not just getting older. It's your brain signaling that its fuel supply is weakening. When blood flow drops from long periods of inactivity, neurons can't communicate efficiently. That's when you feel mentally off, like a radio losing signal. Many people describe it as feeling present but not fully alert, a dullness that grows worse by evening. The good news? This fog is reversible once circulation improves. The second early sign is trouble recalling recent information. You might remember what happened years ago but struggle to recall what you ate for lunch or where you placed your glasses. This happens because the hippocampus, the memory center, is particularly sensitive to reduced oxygen. It needs constant energy to form new memories. When that energy drops, new information doesn't stick. So if you find yourself rereading things, asking repeated questions, or relying on notes for everyday details, it's time to pay attention. Another sign is loss of motivation or interest. When your brain's energy and dopamine levels fall due to inactivity, you may feel unmotivated, even about things you once enjoyed. Some people call it slowing down with age, but it's more than that, it's biological. Low oxygen reduces dopamine, the neurotransmitter that sparks curiosity and drive. You might feel bored, restless, or detached. This emotional dullness is often one of the first clues that the brain is being undernourished. The sad part is that the less motivated you feel, the more you sit, deepening the cycle. The fourth sign is imbalance or slower movement. You might start to notice small changes in coordination, tripping over minor obstacles, feeling dizzy after standing, or walking with shorter steps. These are not just muscle issues. They reflect a decline in how efficiently your brain communicates with your body. When blood flow is low, your cerebellum, the part that controls movement and balance, becomes sluggish. I always tell my patients, if your balance is changing, your brain is already asking for help. Another subtle but important sign is changes in sleep quality. Sitting too much during the day disrupts the body's natural sleep-wake rhythm. When your body isn't physically tired, your brain doesn't release enough melatonin at night. You might find yourself tossing, turning, or waking frequently. Poor sleep then worsens memory and focus, creating a harmful loop. Sleep is when your brain clears away waste proteins like beta amyloid. If that cleaning process is disrupted for too long, those toxins accumulate and raise dementia risk. So restless nights are not just annoying, they're warning signs of deeper imbalance. You might also notice mood swings or irritability. When the brain is low on oxygen and nutrients, emotional regulation becomes harder. Even small frustrations can feel overwhelming. This is not a personality change. It's a physical one. Low circulation to the prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for decision-making and emotion control, makes it difficult to stay calm or patient. If you've been feeling unusually anxious, short-tempered, or withdrawn, it could be your brain's way of saying, "I'm tired. Move me." One overlooked symptom is frequent forgetfulness while multitasking. If you start one thing, get distracted, and forget what you were doing, such as leaving the stove on or misplacing your phone repeatedly, it's not just distraction. It's reduced executive function caused by inactivity. When the brain isn't properly oxygenated, it loses its ability to organize, prioritize, and recall small details. These slips might seem minor, but they are strong early indicators that circulation to key brain areas has declined. Finally, there's the feeling of detachment, being physically present but mentally absent. Many people describe it as living in a fog, or feeling disconnected from the moment. You're there, but not fully engaged. This happens when your brain's default mode network, the system that helps you process your surroundings and emotions, becomes underactive from long hours of stillness. It's a silent symptom, but it often arrives years before formal memory loss begins. If any of these signs sound familiar, don't panic. Remember, the brain is adaptable. It can heal, rebuild, and grow stronger at any age, but only if we give it what it needs: oxygen, movement, and stimulation. The earlier you act, the better your results will be. Even a few small daily changes can dramatically improve clarity, mood, and focus. In the next part, I'll show you exactly how to stop this dangerous habit and rebuild your brain's strength naturally, with simple, gentle steps that any older adult can do at home. These aren't workouts. They're brain-saving movements and habits that can keep your memory, balance, and joy alive for years to come. Part 5. How to stop the habit and rebuild brain strength. Now that you understand the hidden dangers of sitting too long and the early warning signs your brain is sending, let's focus on the most empowering part: how to stop this harmful habit and rebuild your brain's energy, clarity, and strength. I want you to know that even if you've spent years being mostly sedentary, it is never too late to start repairing the damage. The brain is incredibly forgiving. It responds quickly to gentle, consistent change. You don't need an expensive gym membership or intense exercise routines, just small, intentional movements done regularly. The first and most powerful step is breaking your sitting time into shorter blocks. Your brain doesn't care how long you exercise in one go. What matters most is frequency. Every 30 minutes, stand up, stretch, or take a few slow steps. Even 30 to 60 seconds of standing resets blood flow, oxygen, and neural activity. I often tell my patients to use small cues, like TV commercials, phone rings, or even the clock, as reminders to move. If you're reading, place your book or remote on a nearby table so you must stand to reach it. These small breaks teach your body and brain to stay active and alert throughout the day. The next step is adding gentle daily movement routines. You don't need to run or lift weights. Instead, aim for simple, functional movements that improve circulation and coordination. Try slow walking after every meal for 5 to 10 minutes. This helps both digestion and brain oxygenation. Gentle stretching while watching TV, seated leg lifts, or standing shoulder rolls can also make a real difference. The goal is to keep your body moving in small, steady ways. One of my patients began walking to her garden every morning just to water her plants. Within weeks, she said her mental fog lifted, and she felt emotionally lighter. That's how little it takes to spark healing. The third key step is deep breathing. When you sit too long, your breathing becomes shallow, and your brain receives less oxygen. Practicing deep breathing, even for 2 minutes at a time, helps restore oxygen levels and calm the nervous system. Try this simple exercise. Inhale slowly through your nose for 4 seconds, hold for 2, and exhale gently through your mouth for 6. Repeat this 10 times. You can do it anywhere, sitting, standing, or lying down. It's like sending a rush of fresh air directly to your brain. Next, focus on hydration and nutrition. A dehydrated brain works slower, and poor circulation makes that worse. Drink water regularly throughout the day, not just when you feel thirsty. Add foods that naturally boost blood flow and brain repair, like leafy greens, blueberries, walnuts, olive oil, and fatty fish. These foods feed your neurons with antioxidants and healthy fats that protect against inflammation. Avoid sugary drinks and processed snacks, as they restrict circulation and raise insulin levels, the same combination that accelerates dementia risk. Another overlooked way to rebuild brain strength is through mental and social stimulation. The brain thrives on challenge and connection. Try learning something new, a language, a craft, or even a simple puzzle game, while incorporating gentle movement. Talk to friends, share meals, or volunteer. Social interaction sparks the release of neurotransmitters that enhance memory and mood. Remember, mental exercise combined with physical motion is the ultimate brain medicine. The fifth step is to improve your sleep pattern. Movement during the day helps your body rest at night. When you're active, your brain regulates melatonin and serotonin more effectively, making it easier to fall asleep and stay asleep. Try to go to bed and wake up at consistent times, and reduce screen use 1 hour before bed. A well-rested brain is sharper, more focused, and more capable of forming new memories. It's also important to retrain your mindset. Many older adults tell me, "Doctor, I'm too old to change." I always smile and say, your brain disagrees. Every time you learn something new, move a little more, or take a small step toward better habits, your brain rewires itself. This process is called neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to grow and adapt. It's the reason people in their 70s and 80s can recover memory, coordination, and even creativity. You are not too late. You are just beginning a new phase of healing. Finally, create a simple daily ritual of awareness. Each evening, ask yourself, how much did I move today? Track your steps or simply count your movement breaks. This small reflection builds accountability and motivation. Celebrate small victories, standing more often, walking farther, or feeling mentally sharper. These are not just habits, they're signs that your brain is thriving again. When you combine these small changes, breaking sitting time, gentle movement, deep breathing, proper nutrition, and restful sleep, you activate the brain's natural repair system. Within weeks, most people notice sharper focus, lighter moods, and renewed energy. Within months, the transformation becomes visible in both mind and body. So, if sitting too much has been quietly harming your brain, remember this. You can reverse the damage. Every step you take, every deep breath, every moment you choose movement over stillness, you are feeding your brain life again. You're telling it, I'm still here. I'm still learning. I'm still growing. And that message alone is one of the most powerful medicines we have. In the closing part, I'll share a heartfelt reminder, a message of hope and encouragement for you to carry with you as you begin this new, brain-healthy chapter of your life. As we reach the end of this discussion, I want to speak to you heart to heart. If you've recognized yourself in these habits, the long hours of sitting, the moments of mental fog, the occasional forgetfulness, please don't feel guilty or discouraged. You haven't failed your body or your brain. You've simply been doing what most of us do in modern life, sitting for convenience, comfort, or habit. The good news is that awareness is the very first step toward healing. The moment you understand what's happening inside your body, you've already begun the process of change. Your brain is not broken, it's waiting for movement, oxygen, and stimulation to wake it up again. Think of it like a garden that's been in the shade too long. The soil is still fertile. It just needs sunlight, water, and care. Every time you stand, stretch, walk, or breathe deeply, you're letting in that light. You're telling your brain, it's time to grow again. And believe me, it will respond. I've seen seniors in their 70s and 80s regain mental clarity, confidence, and joy simply by changing how they move throughout the day. It doesn't take perfection. It takes consistency. You don't have to run marathons or lift weights. All you need is a little movement, repeated often, with love and patience for your body. So, as you move forward, I want you to make a promise to yourself, not out of fear of dementia, but out of love for your life. Promise to honor your body with movement. Promise to keep your mind engaged, your spirit curious, and your heart connected to others. Promise to never underestimate your power to heal. If today's message opened your eyes or touched your heart, please give this video a like and share it with someone you care about. A friend, a parent, or a loved one who might need this gentle reminder too. And don't forget to subscribe to Zenior Life for more science-backed, heart-centered guidance designed just for older adults. Remember, aging doesn't mean decline. It means refinement. It means wisdom and grace. You are capable of restoring your brain's strength, one mindful movement at a time. So, stand tall, take a deep breath, and step into this new chapter with hope. Your brain is ready, and so are you. I'm Dr. Linda Rose, and I'm deeply proud of you for taking this time to invest in your well-being. Stay active, stay kind to yourself, and stay inspired, because your best years are still ahead.